My name is Susan, and I'm married to Mark, who has a younger sister he adores. There's a significant age gap between them, and Mark has always been particularly protective of her, especially since she was quite delicate when she was younger. Unfortunately, it seems my in-laws have indulged her every whim, and she grew up with a strong sense of entitlement. When Mark and I got married, things quickly became difficult. She caused quite a commotion at our wedding, demanding to wear a dress of her own and insisting on cutting the cake with Mark. At one point, she even tried to persuade our parents to call off the wedding. Despite the drama, I was young and optimistic, believing that as long as she wasn't around too much, everything would be fine. In hindsight, I wonder if I should have thought it through more carefully. Now, she's dropped by and announced, "I'm just here to hang out. Let me stay the night, and tomorrow you can show me around," she said with an air of entitlement. She lives in the next city over, doesn't she? And we both have work tomorrow, not to mention we weren't prepared for an overnight guest. "It's not a big deal. I'll take a day off and show her around," Mark replied. It seemed that his devotion to his sister had no bounds. Even after we were married, his attentiveness didn't wane. Every weekend she would come over, join us for lunch and dinner, and then stay the night. Once, she stumbled upon an estimate I had tucked away for a trip and said, "You're going on a trip, big bro. I want to come too." Mark simply responded, "Well, if she wants to join, I'll cover the costs." So she ended up tagging along on our trip, which infuriated me. It sparked a major argument. After she left, I said, "I can't believe you. The estimate was for our honeymoon." "But you shouldn't have left it where she could find it," he retorted. "And how is the inside of my private desk supposed to be an easy place to find?" "She managed to find it, so it's too late to change that now." "Then we're canceling the trip." "But you were so looking forward to it." "Well, not anymore. She's going to be really disappointed." "Fine, why don't you two go instead? The estimate was for 2 people after all." "You're right, we'll do that." And true to his word, Mark went on the trip with just his sister, covering all the expenses himself. It was the only time I seriously considered divorce, but I hesitated, thinking there needed to be something more significant to justify such a step. When they returned, she handed me a pile of laundry and said, "That was a great trip. Here's your laundry. Why should I wash your clothes? You're the sister-in-law, so you should be doing it." I was baffled by her logic, but this was just the way things were. "I wish she'd speak up, dear," I said to Mark. "No, Amanda's too delicate to handle these things. If she's so delicate she can't manage basic chores, maybe she shouldn't be traveling." My sarcastic remark was met with, "Well, you should have come with us. It's your fault for being stubborn and not joining us." Suddenly, I found myself at the center of the blame. While it's common for a newlywed couple to prefer not having the sister-in-law join them on their honeymoon, Mark and Amanda seemed to think I was in the wrong for not wanting to be part of their super fun trip. I must have missed out, as they cheerfully recounted their adventure, leaving me feeling completely excluded. Amanda had always been close to Mark, and after several years of marriage, she finally tied the knot herself. Her husband lived far away, so we were relieved, hoping that the distance would reduce her frequent visits. Once Amanda was married, her visits ceased, and for the first time since our marriage, we enjoyed a peaceful period. That Amanda had a baby girl. Mark and I celebrated the new arrival, thinking we might finally achieve a more balanced relationship with our in-laws. But just when we thought we had a handle on things, Mark brought Amanda and our new niece home, disrupting our newfound tranquility. Starting today, we're going to take care of Amanda and the baby. We'll cover all their needs, so I hope you're okay with that." "What? Why? What happened to her husband?" "He was having an affair, and when Amanda confronted him, he became violent. She had to leave, and now she's planning to divorce him but doesn't have anywhere to stay." "Well, we have spare rooms. I thought it would be a good solution." "This is just temporary, right?" "No, it's permanent. Amanda has never worked a day in her life. We can support her for as long as needed." I felt overwhelmed. I knew Mark was devoted to his sister, but this was beyond what I had anticipated. "What does Amanda think about all this?" "I can't work because of my health, and I've been a stay-at-home mom. This is the only way I can live." "So, you don't plan on leaving? You want to just abandon a single mother? Besides, you don't have any kids of your own. Consider this a trial run." I couldn't help but laugh. Up until now, I had thought divorce would be too complicated. But the realization that this situation was far more troublesome made me see it differently. Laughter bubbled up uncontrollably. What's so funny? You're starting to freak me out. Have you lost your mind? Maybe I have. Well, it is what it is. Just deal with it. Fine, you two can use my room. Seeing my apparent agreement, Mark looked visibly relieved. But I added, fine, but in that case, I'm getting a divorce. He was taken aback. What? If you divorce, you'll free up a room, and you can take care of Amanda and her daughter all you want. Yes, if I leave, my room will be available, and Amanda can continue being the housewife as she has been. I'll find someone else to handle the housework. It's basically the same as supporting me. I'll just be moving out. So, who will take care of the housework then? Amanda, since you're a housewife, why don't you handle the housework? Isn't that what being a housewife is for? Why should I? I didn't ask for this. Well, neither did I, so we're both stuck in this situation, aren't we? With that, I headed to my room and started packing my things. So you expect me to support us all on my own? Absolutely. Didn't you claim you could manage everything when you clearly can't? Faced with my decision, Mark's expression grew strained. It seems you're right, but I'm done with this for now. We can sort out the details later. With that, I left the house in the middle of the night. I checked into a hotel and called my parents. They were startled by the late night call, but once I explained the situation, they agreed I could come home the next day. My phone buzzed incessantly with calls from Mark and Amanda, but the noise was overwhelming, so I turned it off and went to bed. When I woke up, my voicemail and inbox were flooded with messages. The general content was, "Sorry for the sudden change. I'm waiting for your call. Apologies for the urgent request, but I have nowhere to go since I've also left. Please come back and hear me out. Stop sulking and return. I won't be responsible for your belongings. You're my brother's wife, so you better not defy me. Come back soon and make dinner." I received threatening emails, some with violent language. I copied and printed them out at a convenience store on my way to my parents' house. When I arrived, my parents greeted me with concern. "Why did you endure this for so long? You should have come back sooner." Absolutely. You're going to divorce him, right? My parents were even angrier than I had been. I had feared being scolded or judged for considering divorce over such an issue, but their support was overwhelming. The tension I had been holding onto broke, and I began to cry uncontrollably. I recounted everything that had happened, explaining how my breaking point was reached when my husband brought home my sister-in-law and niece. They advised me to contact my in-laws first. Since leaving, I hadn't heard anything from them, which made me wonder why my sister-in-law hadn't returned to her own parents' house despite being cheated on. I decided to address this when I visited my in-laws. To my surprise, my sister-in-law's husband, Christopher, was also there. I explained that my sister-in-law and niece were currently staying with my husband, that I had refused to accept this situation, and that I have fled to my parents' house for refuge. I see, so Amanda said that. Is that not true? I didn't expect Christopher to be involved, but it turns out Amanda is the one having the affair. We even had evidence to prove it. I understand now, especially after hearing from Christopher. It makes sense why Amanda wouldn't go to her in-laws' house. I see. We spoiled her, but I didn't expect things to escalate this much. I'm really sorry for the trouble this has caused you, Susan. Then a thought struck me. I wondered if my husband was aware of the truth and had brought Amanda home deliberately. Actually, I think my husband might have known about the affair and brought her home on purpose. I believe that's the case. Amanda frequently mentioned she was going to visit your husband on the days she was actually having an affair, and we even received photos of them dining together. Since you weren't in those photos, we became suspicious and discovered the truth. It seemed my sister-in-law had been using my husband as an alibi. With this in mind, I decided to confront the two of them, who still appeared to be avoiding my in-laws. I sent a single email to my husband, reflecting on Amanda's situation and feeling that I should give her one more chance to explain herself. The message read, "I'll be coming home tonight. Please wait for me." With that decided, I planned to return to the house that evening, accompanied by Amanda's husband and my in-laws. I had Amanda's husband wait at the front door and ring the bell. As soon as I rang, I could hear the sound of someone rushing to answer. When the door opened, I stepped inside and said, "I'm home." Both Amanda and my husband came into view. "You're late. Are you going to make dinner? I'm starving." "Finally, you're back." The house was so cluttered that there was barely any space to move. It was hard to believe it had only been left unattended for a single day. My mother-in-law rubbed her temples in frustration, my father-in-law's face flushed with anger, and both my sister-in-law and husband looked pale and uneasy. I couldn't help but find the contrast amusing. Why are Mom and Dad here, and why is Christopher with them? Well, I figured it would be too much to handle alone. Don't you think it's better to have some help from your parents? Backslash. I wasn't informed that Mom and Dad would be here, or that Christopher would be coming. You're causing trouble even for your sister-in-law. What exactly are you trying to accomplish? But having an affair is a different matter. What? Amanda, you were cheating. Feigning surprise, I received an irritated glare from my sister-in-law. Did you know about this? I turned to my husband, who was mumbling something incoherent but didn't deny the accusation. It seemed clear he was aware of the affair. So, you knew about the affair, lied about it, and expected me to take care of Amanda. Well, since she's family, you would trust Amanda, wouldn't you? You were trying to make me handle this, but if she had gone to her in-laws' house, you would have definitely blamed Amanda. To me, she's a stranger, I replied, but I wasn't cheating. I was with my brother. I've spoken with Christopher and seen the photos, and it's clear that you two were dining together. We haven't been out for meals in a while. No, that's not it. I didn't know about the affair. She just asked me to take pictures to create an alibi. So please don't divorce me. Wait, brother. It seemed he realized too late that he had misspoken. My husband, who had admitted to fabricating an alibi, looked regretful. With that confession, the alibi is useless. Your parents heard everything. No, it was my brother's fault. It's too late. There's plenty of evidence beyond the alibi. I'm going through with the divorce. No way. My mother-in-law broke down into tearful sobs, while my father-in-law, his fists clenched and trembling with barely contained rage, looked ready to lash out but struggled to restrain himself. Then they turned to me and bowed their heads in apology. We will take full responsibility for this situation. We will care for Sarah until everything is resolved. Susan, we are truly sorry for all the trouble. Amanda, whose alibi had completely fallen apart, sank to her knees, visibly defeated. My husband, who seemed to have resigned himself to the situation, stood motionless. Following the upheaval, Amanda and her husband divorced, as did my husband and me. When we finalized our divorce, I submitted the IC recorder that had been borrowed from Amanda's husband. I received a modest alimony settlement, bringing my brief marriage to an end. The custody of my niece was granted to Amanda's ex-husband, which brought me a sense of relief. It seemed Amanda and her ex were now living under their parents' supervision, stripped of their former luxurious and arrogant lifestyle, and were facing a more difficult existence. Since then, I've occasionally stayed in touch with Amanda's ex-husband and had the chance to visit my niece. During one of these visits, I thanked him. Thank you for everything. He bowed his head and replied, No, I didn't do anything special. I waved my hand dismissively, but Amanda's ex-husband shook his head and explained, Actually, I was worried about whether I could secure custody of my daughter. Custody is generally easier for the mother to obtain, and fathers often have a lower chance unless there's a substantial reason. Even though Amanda cheated, she's still young, and making her own decisions is challenging. However, I believed I could win custody if I could prove the affair and show that Amanda, who was involved, would be living with us at my wife's parents' house. It seemed that whether or not my husband's involvement in fabricating the alibi could be confirmed was crucial for custody. Since I had acknowledged the alibi, it helped secure his custody claim. I'm relieved. It looks like Sarah will be safe and well cared for. It appears my niece will be living with Amanda's ex-husband from now on. I'm preparing to move back to living alone, as I can't rely on my parents forever. In hindsight, I should have trusted my instincts and called off the marriage earlier. I've had enough.